there's a disturbing email, or what is this? This is it's
a political story.
No.
Right?
I know that. But there was a, what was this? This was a kind of a thing going out with Matt Bevin's
It's a corporate
firm, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Matt Bevin, who is challenging Senator Mitch McConnell in a Republican primary, called the 2008 federal bailout of banks and Wall Street giants irresponsible. He says he would have opposed it as a senator. Yet back in 2008, as an investment fund president, Bevin backed $700 billion TARP, as well as a government takeover of troubled mortgage giants Freddie and Fannie. McConnell supported TARP, and Bevin campaign repeatedly reminds voters of that. Bevin supported also the Federal Reserve's decision to begin buying commercial paper issued by banks. This is all really not good.
No, it sounds really bad. And then you look at the an October 28th, 2008 report for investors is what this was.
So he was running a fund.
So he's running a fund, and he's the president of the fund.
And he signs it personally as president of the fund, and it says, most of the positive developments have been government-led, such as effective nationalization of Freddie and Fannie, the passage of the $700 billion TARP, don't call it a bailout, and the Federal Reserve's intention to invest in commercial paper. These moves should help stabilize asset price and help ease liquidity constraints of the financial system. All right. So
now, supposedly that was written by Matt Bevin and Daniel Bandy, his chief investment officer and vice president of the fund.
Okay. So I saw this morning, and I'm like, okay, that's not good. That's not good at all. Mm-hmm. What does that mean, Matt? And I will tell you that I thought we said this morning, get Matt Bevin on the phone and let's have him answer. Never thought we would get him on the phone, which would have been a very bad testament of his character.
Yeah.
We called him, and he immediately said, oh, I'll come on. He said he's going to make an exclusive statement. He'll do it in about 7 minutes on this program. We'll talk to him about this. He said he's going to make an exclusive statement, and then he's going to move on from it. He says that he can explain this, and everybody will understand, and then he's going to move on, and he's just not going to dwell on the past. It's a McConnell hatchet job. Okay.
I mean, certainly McConnell's gleefully promoting this news.
And good luck moving on from that because, you're not the sole arbiter of that decision because the press is going to hound you with this for
the press is going to. It doesn't matter if he can explain it or not. That's all the press is going to do because the press will be in the bag, not for a Tea Party guy, but for McConnell.
The establishment guy.
Yeah, the establishment guy. They want the establishment guy.
Now, we should point out, and I'm sure Matt Bevin will, that McConnell not only supported TARP, but called it one of the finest moments in the history of the Senate.
Yeah.
So it's not like your alternate guy.
But here's the thing. It doesn't matter. Right. What's going to happen is they're going to press the vote. Yeah. And Karl Rove will be responsible. He will take this, and it'll be citizens responsible for no lying liars.
What do you want to bet?
Office.
It's Karl Rove who turned this up. I'll bet you they're the ones who investigated and found this this letter to investors.
If nothing else, I think it does signify that Mitch McConnell has realized finally that he has a battle on his hands. If nothing else, he's at that point where, we better start looking for stuff on Matt Bevin because this doesn't seem like we're going to roll over him anymore.
When did this happen? I know it was October 28, 2008, but when was TARP? When did they talk about TARP? When did the breakdown of the market happen?
It's 2008.
No, I know. Do you remember the date? Because I supported it for 3 days.
Would have been right around this time.
Yeah. I supported TARP for 3 days until I realized, they're not. Oh, I see what's happening. Mm-hmm. They're lying to us. They're not fixing it. They're nationalizing everything. So he will be on with us in just a second, running against Mitch McConnell, a guy that we really like and have trusted to tell us the truth. You're going to have to be the final arbiter of that. Let's see what he has to say when we come back. Matt Bevin. There's an article on Politico, which, by the way, Politico, so these it's an establishment,
Beltway,
Beltway kind of thing. So
publication.
They publish a story on Matt Bevin, and they say that in 2008 he wrote or signed a
report for investors.
Because he was the president of an investment fund. And here's what it said. Most of the positive developments have been government-led, such as the effective nationalization of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, passage of the $700 billion TARP, don't call it a bailout, and the Federal Reserve's intention to invest in commercial paper. This move helps stabilize the asset prices and help ease liquidity constraints in the financial system. Matt Bevin has agreed. We didn't think he would, and I think this speaks highly of his character, because if you are a listener of this show, you know it'll be a bloodbath. If this guy starts to lie, it's going to be a bloodbath. But he said he would come on. We called him this morning and said, can you answer this? And he said, absolutely. He's going to make this exclusive interview and then try to move on from it. Matt Bevin, welcome to the program.
Great to be on with you, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't want spin. I don't want Mitch McConnell stuff, because I know all of that stuff. I know this is, I know where this is coming from. Let's just stay focused on what you wrote, what you signed, why you did it, and why the change of heart, if there was one.
There has been no change of heart because I didn't actually sign that thing. Or I'm sorry, I didn't even actually write that letter. And so my position from the very beginning has always been the same. I have, from the very beginning when this was first proposed, said TARP was nothing more than an ironically named item in which we were pulling a TARP for all intents and purposes over this huge, bloated, bureaucratic boondoggle at taxpayer expense. That letter I did not write. I did not write any of the letters that were ever published as investment commentary for veracity funds. I was the president and chairman of the board, and by SEC law, was required to sign prospectuses when they were sent out.
Whether you agreed with them or not?
Yeah, again, I was not the investment guy. I never bought and sold the securities, and so it would have been inappropriate and probably illegal, frankly, for me to have changed the investment commentary written by the sub-advisor to the fund who was responsible for that.
Oh, wow. Now, that's
interesting.
That's a really great explanation. Matt, can you produce anything from this time period where you were saying this is a bad idea, TARP and everything else is a bad idea?
I never was. I don't know that I can. I could probably find people, perhaps, who remember these discussions, although I've not tried. My job was not. I was not the guy who was on record. I had a fiduciary responsibility as the chairman of this fund company to make sure that I was not perceived in any way, shape, or form as having commentary on buy and sell decisions. That was the responsibility of the advisor to the fund. And for me to have meddled in that would have been highly, highly inappropriate. And all of these various Sarbanes-Oxley rules, among others, would have been very much in my grill had I attempted to rewrite or meddle or make the thinking of the actual fund manager that of my own.
And so, Matt, that person was then Daniel Bandy?
Yes, Bandy, correct.
Bandy.
A great investor.
And he has said, well, I disagree with him 110% on what his investment advice was, but he has said he wrote it. He is verifying your
he's corroborated what
you're saying.
So
that's true. He has Matt. He has corroborated what you're saying.
I don't know. Have someone reached out to him this morning?
No, from what I understand, we better check on this. From what I was told this morning, he has verified that he wrote this.
Yeah, he would, because again, I guarantee you he would not try to pretend that I wrote it. He's the guy that wrote it, and he's the guy that should have written it. He was the guy required by law to write the commentary on the investment decisions that he made.
And then again, your signature on that is not your approval of what he was saying there. It's just that you had to sign it by law. Is that right?
Correct. Well, I was not approving of anyone else's opinions. Right. I was, as president and chairman of the board, required by law to verify the veracity of the financial figures, the assets under management, the number of outstanding shares, et cetera.
Here's another thing that Politico and the campaign against you are trying to throw out there, that you swore on an SEC document. You had to sign your name and swear and say that these things are true and verify that these things are true by the end of the year, and you did.
Yeah, the things that I was verifying are true are the actual financial facts and figures, not the opinions of others written as it related to their investment commentary.
That's a pretty good explanation.
So, okay, let me just go over this one last time.
It has the remarkable convenience of also being the absolute truth, which is why it's a good explanation.
Right, I know. All right, so
that is convenient.
Yeah. So let me just explain this one more time in my life, so I make sure that we're saying exactly the same thing. I am the CEO and founder of The Blaze, and Blaze Radio, Mercury Radio Arts, and The Blaze. I am a guy who hires a bunch of people to write commentary and news stories. I don't write them. In fact, the press would tear me apart if I wrote all of them, and it was just, they were all mouthpieces of me. They're not. And I can, if I were forced to at the end of the year, say, have you read all of them? If I were required by law, I would say, yes, I'll read them all. And then I will verify that, yes, those stories were all printed. Yes, they were printed by my employees. Yes, that's their opinion. And yes, we ran them. And I would sign off on that. But they're not my opinions. They're the people that work for me, and their job is to report the news. Their job is to give their opinion, not to give my opinion. Is that the same thing?
I think it is in some measure the same thing. I think what people need to appreciate, though, is that the financial investment arena, in the mutual fund arena in particular, is probably arguably the most highly regulated industry in the entire country. And there is fiduciary responsibility, and there are very toothy laws associated with obligations I had as the president and chairman of this fund company, the likes of which would have put me in dire straits had I attempted in any way, shape, or form to reword the investment opinion of the people who had been hired and were responsible by law for actually making those decisions. So, yes, I mean, the bottom line is I just simply had to verify the facts and figures of the underlying fund itself, not the opinion of how it got there.
And what's so great about this, and assuming all this winds up being confirmed, and I think it will be, is that McConnell was in the business of making these regulations, knows them very well, would know this 100% to be accurate if what you're saying is true. Mm-hmm. And so he's using the laws
pushing it out anyway.
made.
No, but you know what? Let's not go with McConnell because what a surprise. He's a dirtbag. But let's do this on Politico. John Bresnahan or whatever his name is. He's the author of this. I know that my chief content officer and editor of The Blaze, Scott Baker, and chief content officer Joel Cheatwood would have looked at this story and said, "Now wait a minute, hang on just a second. What is Bevin's take on this?" And this story would not have run because they would have verified, and this would have been crap canned. Yeah. So tell me about
this article, Glenn, was so sloppy from start to finish. It was intended to be a wave maker, regardless of whether there was any truth to it. It has in there things like me having started this fund in 1999, which is absolute bunk. It started in 2004. It has me being the CEO of a hedge fund, which I have never in my life been, nor am I now. It is so full from beginning to end of made-up stuff. Wow. All created to create some kind of sensation and to get all the people at MSNBC, all excited and fired up, which indeed it has done. And I say mission accomplished on that front, but it's an absolute farce. The entire thing is written by a man who either has no idea what he's talking about or doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care. Listen, Matt, I will tell you, I was very skeptical. I was thrilled to hear that you didn't hesitate at all when we called. You were like, yeah, I'll come on. I'm not going to keep dealing with this because it's a distraction, but I'll come on and I'll tell it. I will check into everything that you said. We will check the law. We'll make sure that everything that you said is right. It'll be posted on The Blaze. If it's wrong, that will also be posted on The Blaze. And that won't bode well for you. But one way or another, we will post this on The Blaze and we will expose it. And I will tell you that my gut tells me you're absolutely telling the truth. And I'm really relieved, Matt, because we can't afford another dirtbag.
Amen.
And I've seen this movie before. Mm-hmm. I've seen this movie. I still see this movie every day. Single day of my life. And Matt, you are this is just the beginning, as you know.
It is. The irony is great, though, is it not, that McConnell, unable to curry favor with those that he wants to punch in the nose on the conservative side about how bad I am, has got to get people like Politico and MSNBC to now be his lapdogs and come after me.
Well,
and
they'll stoop to anything.
I will tell you this. There will be more people that will read this Politico story on the Blaze than there will be on MSNBC and the Politico combined. The only people that read Politico are the people in Washington, D.C. and inside the Beltway. Well, it's sadly becoming a joke. At least to me, it's sadly becoming a real joke.
And Matt, speak to this for a second, because this is what I was trying to get to before. What happens here is people like Mitch McConnell create an arcane language of laws that no one outside the industry understands. Then when they have an enemy, they will go to the media and present it to them, knowing the American people won't understand the rules.
Yes,
so
it's
larger than just a campaign issue. It's all of this regulation all the time,
and this
can
is
be used against you.
This is why the NSA matters. I'm not doing anything wrong. Look at what they're doing. They're taking information, they're spinning it. You're guilty. You know, I had some people in my office yesterday, and what they're doing is they are providing insurance for people who are concealed carry permit holders.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you carry a gun and you happen to defend yourself, you're going to be sued. And so you have to have now insurance to make sure that you have somebody defending you. Yeah. And one of them said to me, and just offhanded, it's really expensive to be innocent nowadays. And I thought to myself, good God, that is one of the most profound statements I have ever heard. Mm-hmm. That's who we've turned into. It costs you a fortune to defend your innocence, where you used to have to defend, hey, they say I'm guilty. Now it doesn't matter. You're not even going into court. They just will take this with Matt. He's innocent, he claims. We'll find out. Make sure you're watching at 5 today or reading The Blaze. I feel the same way about my reputation. How many people feel this way? And you have to defend. You come into the federal government comes in with OSHA or whatever. You have to defend and say, no, I'm innocent. I'm innocent. When did this turn into this, our country, where it costs so much just to be innocent?
Well, I'd like to know, Matt, is there a website we could go to if we wanted to make a strong statement and just say, enough of your nonsense, Mitch McConnell? Where would I go? Is there a website like that?
You know, amazingly there is, and it is my name, which is Matt Bevin, and that would be MattBevin.com, where they can learn all they want to know about any number of issues and my stance on them.
I will tell you, as a listener, that I don't endorse anybody, and I'm not. I'm reserving my judgment. I will tell you, my gut says he's telling the truth, but I'll reserve my final judgment until I have the staff look into all of this, et cetera, et cetera. But I will tell you this. The people like Karl Rove, I can guarantee you they're already into production with commercials, Matt.
Yeah.
And they will spend millions of dollars to destroy and smear anybody who stands against Karl Rove, his cronies, Mitch McConnell, and all those elites in Washington who are progressive nightmares. And if you really want to change things, you need to support. If it's Matt or somebody else, that's up to you. But you must support these guys because the machines will crush them. Matt, thank you very much. I appreciate it. God bless. Our sponsor this half hour is Sherry's Berries. I noticed strangely that all the berries were eaten. Introduce you to somebody because this Matt Bevin story that we had on the air really bothered me. It came from Politico. And we just had Matt Bevin on, and what Politico was charging was that Matt signed a document as the head of this financial fund that basically was saying everything that he stands against. He was saying that TARP is really great, and, the socialization or the nationalization of Freddie and Fannie is wonderful. And I saw this, and I thought, this is devastating. Now, we call Matt up, and we said, Matt, will you come on the air and talk about this? Without hesitation, absolutely. And I'm not going to dwell on this. He said, I will make one definitive conversation and interview on this. He said, I'll do it on your show. It'll be exclusive. And then that's it. I'm not talking about it anymore because it's a lie. He came on. He has convinced us that it is absolutely a lie. Just a rotten smear job on him. And I will tell you, because he was so convincing, The guy, if he's lying, is a psychopath, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts, because there's no place for him to go. He made a definitive statement here, and he convinced all of us that really, truly psychopath, psychotic tendencies if he is lying. I want to introduce you because I don't even know if this is the right guy, but I wanted to get Ben Weingarten on. He actually works not for The Blaze, but he works for Mercury Inc., which is our book division. This is the guy, I think I've talked to you about him before. Maybe I haven't. He's a guy who I have wanted to hire for a very long time, and he's really a financial, I think, genius, and he sees what's going on in the world. And we met, I don't even know, 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and I tried to hire him then, and he had made a commitment to go to, Ben, where was it, Goldman Sachs?
I had actually interned at Goldman Sachs previously. I was working at a private investment bank, and I had committed to work there.
And so he committed to work there, and I'm like, yeah, but you didn't sign any paper, Ben. Come on, you come over. And he's like, no, I gave my word, and I will see you if you're still interested in 2 years. Well, he contacts us in 2 years and says, I've fulfilled my commitment, and if you guys are still interested. And unfortunately, Ben doesn't call me. He calls one of the other people that are in the company, and so he's now working for that guy instead of me. But I'll get over that, Ben. So I wanted to call Ben because he would know this kind of subterfuge, if you will, if there is any. Did you read the article, Ben, and did you hear the interview with Matt Bevin?
I read through the article quickly, and I did hear the interview with Matt Bevin.
Okay. What does your gut tell you, or do you have any information? Are you the right guy to go to and say, yeah, this is true or not true?
Well, look, I mean, I am not a regulatory lawyer. What I can tell you is that what Matt said sounded very credible. Financial companies are subject to all sorts of regulations, many of which, since Sarbanes-Oxley was put into place, require that chief executives and other officers sign off on all financial disclosures. The disclosure that was referred to in that Politico article, I haven't read. My gut tells me, and again, caveating this with the fact that I'm no securities or regulatory lawyer, what Matt's saying is fully accurate. One of his associates in a company made statements which were likely his own opinions and probably caveated as such. And Matt had to sign off on that form as a fiduciary duty to the folks invested in his fund.
Do you know if it is true, or can you walk into the newsroom and find and give this to the right person, and then get back to me right away? Do you know if it's true that in his role, this is what Matt was saying, he is not allowed by law to have an opinion?
I would say my gut is that's absolutely right. I can try to look at the form and give you a better sense, but that definitely sounds right to me. Okay,
thanks a lot, Ben. I appreciate it. Would you just get back to me, would you?
Will do.
Thank you very much. And Jeffy, make sure that the newsroom write to Scott Baker. I'm sure he's already on it, but have Scott get back to me or get back to you if it's during the show, or have Scott or somebody call in from the news department and tell me when they have that verified. But I everything in me, I'm like, Ben, everything in me says this is true, that he's right, which then leads you to, who's the psycho here?